So Social Security is one of the biggest sources of income for a lot of retired people. Uh, I always tell people, especially young people, don't plan on it being there in the future because it's going through a lot of problems these days. If you listen to the news, you hear about Social Security being bankrupt, or you hear about the federal government borrowing from the Social Security Trust Fund to pay for other things. So I always tell people, yeah, it's a good thing to think about, but don't plan on it. Always make other plans for your retirement other than just Social Security. But let's look at Social Security. So it used to be the Social Security age was 65. They're now moving that forward, and I believe it's like 68 or 69 now is your full retirement age for you to be able to draw Social Security benefits. Now, keep in mind, Social Security also covers other things that we've briefly talked about before, other than just retirement benefits. So if one of the parents of a child dies, the children can get survivor benefits. If your spouse dies, you can get survivor benefits. If you become disabled, you'll get some sort of payment for being disabled. If your children become disabled, they get payments. So it's not just retirement. In fact, the true name of it is Old Age and Disability Security Insurance. Nobody calls it that. Everybody just calls it Social Security these days. So let's take a look at some of the information about Social Security from a tax point of view. Okay, so not that long ago, Social Security wasn't taxable at all. In fact, it didn't become taxable until 1984. And you may have heard the name of Alan Greenspan. He was the chairman of the Federal Reserve for a number of years. He was appointed to a commission by Ronald Reagan to study how we can generate some more revenue. And the Greenspan Commission decided that taxing Social Security would be a good way to do it. And so it became law in 1984. So this is another one that makes me stop and think. I really hate paying taxes on money that I've already funded with post-tax money, but what are you going to do? It's not taxable unless it is. And this is a common thing we've heard just 2 chapters in. We've heard this all the time. It's not taxable unless it is. And here's how we figure out if it's taxable or not. So you've heard of AGI. We've talked about AGI a lot. Well, now we have this concept called modified AGI. And so all that is it's your AGI plus half of your Social Security. If that exceeds a certain amount, then you will pay tax on some of it. So again, it's your AGI without regard to your Social Security plus half of your Social Security. If that exceeds a limit, you pay tax on Social Security. And the thresholds are really low, $32,000 for married filing joint and $25,000 for others. I don't know why they don't double this, because we often have married couples, both of them are generating Social Security. If they were single, they'd be able to exclude up to $50,000, but for married filing jointly, it's $32,000. So people who only have Social Security will generally not even need to file a tax return. And withholding on Social Security is not done automatically. You can have withholding done on your Social Security. And for some people, I recommend it. But for a lot of people whose Social Security is their only source of income, they will not have to file because it's not going to be taxable. Because again, we're looking at our AGI. If you ignore Social Security and they don't have any other source of income, what's your AGI? Well, it's 0. So if 0 plus half of your Social Security exceeds $25,000 for single people, then you'll have to pay some tax on your Social Security. So you can see quite often people who only have Social Security won't even need to file. And so some of the other things to consider with Social Security is if it is like your disability or your survivor benefits, that goes to whoever gets paid the Social Security. So I think we've mentioned before where if a parent has died, the child will get Social Security. That will go on their tax return. And as long as they're below the certain thresholds, they're not going to have to pay tax on their Social Security. So that wraps up Social Security. Next, we're going to look at another one that really I have issue with, and that's community property.